like to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles that have taught this truth and continue to teach this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. We're going to dive right into this one. And as I'm reading this supplication and prayer of Solomon to Yahweh, I would like for you to consider the following points. For our continued disobedience, we were scattered to the four corners of this earth. We have been here in a country that is not our own, being oppressed by an oppressor. Yes, we are in captivity. And so we're going to dive in here. 1 Kings 8 and 22. Solomon's prayer and supplication to Yahweh. And Solomon stood before the altar of Yahweh in the presence of all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hands toward heaven. And he said, Yahweh, power of Israel, there is no power like thee in heaven above or on the earth beneath, who keepest covenant and mercy with thy servants that walk before thee with all their heart, who has kept with thy servant David my father that thou promised him. Thou spakest also with thy mouth, and hast fulfilled it with thy hand, as it is this day. Therefore now, Yahweh, power of Israel, keep with thy servant David, my father, that thou promised him, saying, there shall not fail thee a man in my sight to sit on the throne of Israel, so that thy children take heed to their way, that they walk before me as thou hast walked before me. And now, O power of Israel, let thy word, I pray thee, be verified, which thou spakest unto thy servant David my father. But will our power indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have built? Yet have thou respect unto the prayer of thy servant and to his supplication, O Yahweh, my power, to hearken or to listen unto the cry and to the prayer which thy servant prayeth before thee today. That thine eyes may be open towards this house night and day, even toward the place which thou hast said, my name should be there, that thou mayest hearken unto the prayer which thy servant shall make towards this place. And hearken thou to the supplication of thy servant and of thy people Israel, when they shall pray towards this place. And hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and when thou hearest, forgive. If any man trespass against his neighbor, and an oath be laid upon him to cause him to answer, or pardon me, to cause him to swear, and the oath come before thine altar in this house, then hear thou in heaven, and do, and judge thy servants, condemning the wicked, to bring up his way upon his head, and justifying the righteous, to give him according to his righteousness. When thy people Israel be smitten down before the enemy, because they have sinned against thee, and shall turn again to thee, and confess thy name, and pray, and make supplication unto thee in this house, then hear thou in heaven, and forgive the sin of thy people Israel, and bring them again unto the land which thou gavest unto their fathers. When heaven is shut up, and there is no rain, because they have sinned against thee, if they pray towards this place, and confess thy name, and turn from their sin, when thou afflictest them, afflictest them, then hear thou in heaven, and forgive the sin of thy servants and of thy people Israel, that thou teach them the good way wherein they should walk, and give rain upon thy land, which thou hast given to thy people for an inheritance. If there be in the land famine, if there be pestilence, blasting, okay, and so blasting is a disease of the plants where they get this rusted color, okay, or they get mold. This is caused by fungi, okay? So we're going to reread that one again, starting at 37. If there be in the land famine, if there be pestilence, blasting, mildew, locust, or if there be caterpillar, if there be enemy, besiege them in the land of their cities, whatsoever plague, whatsoever sickness there be, what prayer and supplication soever be made by any man, or by all the people of Israel, which shall know every man the plague of his own heart, and spreadeth forth his hands toward this house, then hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and forgive, and do, and give to every man according to his ways, whose heart thou knowest. For thou, even thou only, knowest the hearts of all the children of men, that they may fear thee all days that they live in the land which thou gavest unto our fathers. Okay, and so we're going to get to the point. We're going to scroll down here to 46. And if they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives unto the land of their enemy, far or near. I'm going to read 46 again. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them captives unto the land of the enemy, far or near. and we are in a foreign land that is very far from our land. Yet, if they shall bethink themselves, and so bethink means repent or return from evil. Okay? So we're going to start at 47 again. Yet if they bethink themselves in the land whither they were carried captives, and repent and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carried them captives, saying, we have sinned and have done perversely. We have committed wickedness. And so return unto thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies. And so that beginning of 48, that sentence there where it says, and so return unto thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies, that sounds familiar. In fact, Yahushua had given that later on in the New Testament under Matthew's. We're going to get it. He had stated that the first commandment, let's get that. All right, let's get that. The first commandment. So let's go to Matthew 12 and 28. Okay. That's not it. Let me go into my history. Pardon me. It's Mark 12 and 28. Okay? And so let's get the first commandment. Okay? And let's get the context around it as well. We're going to start at 28. And one of the scribes came, having heard them reasoning together and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? And Yahushua answered him, the first of all the commandments is, hear, O Israel, Yahweh our power is one Lord. And thou shalt love Yahweh thy power with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. So let's go back here. Let us go back here. Okay. And so let's go over 1 Kings 8 and 48 again. Okay. And we can see that the statement here by Solomon and the statement by Yahushua are congruent. And so return unto thee Okay, in other words, he's saying if they return unto him, being Yahweh, if they return unto Yahweh with all their heart and with all their soul. Okay, so I'm going to read it as is. And so return unto thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land. And so let's get the full context of this in one straight read, all right? So we're going to start back at 47 here. Yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land whether they were carried captives, and repent and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carried them captives, saying, We have sinned and have done perversely. We have committed wickedness. And so return unto thee with all their heart and with all their soul, and in the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name. Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people that have sinned against thee, and all their transgressions wherein they have transgressed against thee, and give them compassion before them who carried them captive, that they may have compassion on them. For they be thy people and thine inheritance, which thou broughtest forth out of Egypt, from the midst of the furnace of iron, that thine eyes may be open unto the supplication of thy servant, and unto the supplication of thy people Israel, to hearken unto them in all that they call for unto thee. For thou didst separate them from among all the people of the earth. I'm going to say that again. For thou didst separate them from all the people of the earth. This is why all of the nations hate us. We are separate. We are holy. Okay? Unto Yahweh. We are a special people. Unto Yahweh. Okay? For thou didst separate them from all, for thou didst separate them from amongst all the people of the earth, to be thine inheritance, as thou spakest by the hand of Moses thy servant, when thou broughtest our fathers out of Egypt. O Yahweh, power. Remain steadfast in your faith and your righteousness. I pray that this was edifying. Thank you for listening. Shalom.